Why your low interest rate won't save you. Hey everybody, Scott Walters, buckle up, strap in. We got a hard hitting, pull no punches, no sugarcoating it, no rainbows, no sunshine. I'm just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. We got a good one to unpack today. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys are all doing great. So yeah, we've got a pretty big one to talk about today. You know, there's been a lot of talk online, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of it, of people that were able to lock in the low interest rate during the stimulus era, and how for that reason, inventory is going to remain low. People aren't going to want to sell their house because they don't want to give up their low interest rate that they obtained. And millions of people obtain these low interest rates. I think looking back on the next boom bust cycle, you get to decide if we're in it or not, is this will be something that will talked about. Just like in 2008, we talk a lot about, subprime mortgages, the health of the loans, and blah, 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 ninja loans, everything else. And everybody wants to pin it on something, right? And whether or not, we were already in a low interest rate environment prior to the last crash. It was all low interest rate manipulation that caused the last bubble. The quality of the loans clearly contributed in some way. But in terms of reading between the lines and looking between the cracks, the realities are we had a housing bubble in 2008. Up until this bubble, it was the biggest bubble. It couldn't sustain itself. It crashed. So let's get out of the problem and in the solution. But one of the things that I continue to want to do for us here at the show, as a real estate professional, as a property manager, somebody who owns commercial and residential real estate, somebody who's a longtime salesman, somebody who's been around and seen a few things, somebody who went through 2008, even suffered a little of its blowback, don't regret it now, but certainly don't want to go back and repeat the same thing over, expecting a different result. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. But people were drunken sailors on stimulus, poor. It was just like the Great Depression era in 1929, based on my studies. The same FOMO and behavior in terms of people just thinking they could be these investors. We produced so many people. And throw a dart at an economic challenge map, there's so many things. WEBULL, Robinhood, Airbnb, everything went euphoric. Buddy, a quick break from the show to bring you today's video sponsor, Noble Gold. Let's go ahead and hear from Noble Gold now. Are you new to investing and have savings you want to protect? You need a new playbook that's safe. Allocate some gold now and avoid the frenzied panic of the unprepared. When fear reigns, gold protects the wise. Shield your savings with a Noble Gold Investments IRA. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now. noblegoldinvestments.com. Feel free to call Noble Gold Direct or visit the pinned comments or description for more information. Always be careful when investing. There's going to be risk. Now, let's get back to today's insanity show. But one of the things I wanted to touch on today, because I know for a lot of us, and me too, and I've heard other economists and experts even weigh in on this one. Well, if you got your mortgage in the threes, your mortgage is more valuable than your house. So therefore, you're not going to sell the house, because if you do, you lose the mortgage, and the mortgage is not assumable. So it basically evaporates into thin air. But here's the challenge. Today we're gonna look at the flip side of that coin, because I don't think you should put all your money on that or put too much weight in that one. And here's why. Here's the challenge I believe we're facing, right? Because throughout history, we've always had recessionary downturns with the economy. Typically, it's a boom-bust cycle, and there's usually 3 levels of an economic downturn, the softest being a correction, right? Which is what, leadership wants us to believe, that we're headed for a correction, a soft landing, right? We always predict that. Then when we get there, well, we might have a little bit of pain. There might be like a recession, right? And then once we get into that and it still hasn't been tamed, we're now getting into the deep cycle recession called a depressionary level of a downturn, which throughout history, if you were pull historical data, you would notice approximately every 100 years, a depression lands in the economy. When was the last Great Depression? 1929? I think we're in the 100-year cycle. So I haven't ruled that out. This just based on, like I said, historical data. But here's our challenge, friends. Here's my challenge, because I sold and helped people buy and sell a lot of homes before, during, and after the crisis. People that bought for those 3% or even refied into 3% mortgages, they either reset their loan, and or if they bought in this mess, just because they have a 3% mortgage doesn't mean they can hang on to their house. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if or when a recession gets its foothold into this, even if you have a 3% mortgage, but you're having a hard time keeping up with your payments, you're going to be forced to market. Now, when your equity evaporates, for a lot of people, that's already happening. In fact, the only thing they have left is their 3% mortgage. They're in big trouble because here's the thing. If you can't, I've always said this, I don't care if you have a 0% interest rate, which nobody does. If you can't make your payment, you're in a bad shape. And if your equity's gone in your house, you're in worse shape. So this is the realities. Now, here's the other thing. Let's say, and this is probably, I would guess, 1% of the purchases made during the crisis, people actually have a low enough mortgage payment where if they get into financial economic strain with their personal household and can no longer keep up with the payment on the home, but have that low interest rate on the mortgage on the home, people want to say, well, they'll put a renter in there. And I've always said the same thing. This is exactly why you need to make sure you follow this channel. You can put a renter in the home and they can make the payment and you can go cool your heels in some shoebox or with family until you figure things out and get back on your feet. Let somebody else make the payment. That would be great. Only problem is this. When real estate agents were selling these homes and they thought they were the reason for all these great euphoria, taking all the credit when they had nothing to do with it. It was the crisis that ushered it in. It was like hitting the lottery for a real estate professional. You just found yourself in a red hot asset class that got euphoric again. Just like in '08, I saw the same thing. And then they dropped like flies. So the challenge is agents didn't say, because this is where I always say you want an agent that's willing to put your needs before their own, one that's in better financial health than their clients. You never want an agent in worse shape than their clients. We're going to have a lot of those. That's why when you see the cheerleading, it's usually out of desperation, right? Because they know the only income they have are commissions. They didn't diversify themselves. They're in hot water. They thought this would last forever. It's not. This time's not different. This is not different. The only thing that's different, it's worse. Bigger bubble, bigger blowback. But here's the thing. When the agent was selling these homes, unless they were with me, maybe... Like, I always take a stab at it. Hey, Scott, I want to buy a house. Great. This property? Great. Yeah, let's get over. Let's take a look. Okay, great. So you want to make an offer? Sure. Okay, what's our offer? Great. Hey, listen, we're going to have to talk to the lender to see how much our payment is to service your loan. And just for kicks and giggles, I want to check our rent range just to make sure I pull an insurance policy for you, because if something happens to you in a couple of years down the road, I want to make sure a renter can go in and make the payment for you. Nobody did that. So these people with the low interest rates, their houses don't pencil out. They cost more to own even with the low interest rate than what they would rent for. Their equity is now evaporating. And if a recession reaches in, which we know unemployment's due to go up, it is already spiking, and a lot of that is hitting the white-collar wage earner, not the blue-collar wage earner, as those jobs, service sector jobs are still available, but these white-collar, high-wage jobs, banking industry, tech industry, are all wiping out their personnel. We continue to see that. Eventually it's going to reach into those people that bought homes, and that's my concern right now with the people hanging on to narratives of, because of the people that got these low interest rates, they're going to hang on to their homes. If their homes go underwater, they're on borrowed time. If they lose their job, they're on borrowed time. If their cost, even with the low interest rate, which is probably 99% of the mortgages out there, they can't have a renter go in and still satisfy the payment even with that low interest rate. There's only one thing left to go. So I want you guys to continue to be very careful on narratives. The narratives are going to be preached. Nobody can guarantee a downturn, but we've had them throughout history. So for me, it's never been if, it's always been when. You get to decide if the biggest bubble in human history can sustain itself and the people that bought within it. In final thoughts, I come to you as a friend, as a content creator. Somebody wants to see you not only win in real estate, win in life. Understand the waters you're swimming in now. Shark infested. People with your low interest rates. Welcome to the swimming pool. If your house does not pencil out, or you lose your job, there's a good chance you are going to be tied to a depreciating asset that's now not a benefit. It's in fact a liability and an anchor. And because so many people put pressure to buy homes in the FOMO, it's going to be very hard for them to mentally navigate through that to accepting their situation. It's going to be harder for the people in this bubble to come to acceptance. than the people in the last bubble because they put so much more pressure in this bubble to buy homes. My advice, and I never suggest anybody do anything that I'm not willing or doing myself. Insulate yourself, diversify yourself, expect the unexpected, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. It's better to have a plan and not need it than need a plan and not have it. Make sure you have a plan. Live lean, mean, insulate yourself, weather the storm if one comes, and then reevaluate the situation and never go all in, even on real estate, as much as I love it. In the meantime, I'll be here to blow the lid off it every step of the way, because it's not only what we need, it's in fact what we deserve. Appreciate the content. I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Social media links in the description of this video if you'd like to follow me there, along with links to channels I've appeared on I think you might enjoy. If you need help buying or selling real estate here in America, of the biggest network of top-rated agents in the nation ready to assist you, it'd be our honor and our privilege to do so. Email in the description for you as well. Also, if you're watching from your television set today and you enjoyed this video, you're gonna love the next video, and there's an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make a count today, and God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.